All right, thank you so much, Jolia. Well, most American families are feeling some kind of financial strain right now. Things like overspending and carrying debt impact daily life, relationships, and also long-term security. Colin Evans with Evans Financial Group is back in with us today to talk about, despite those challenges, what you can do to manage your money right now. Colin, let's talk about this with families. You know, a lot of times you got a lot of money going out, maybe not as much coming in for food, for activities. It can be challenging. Every dollar counts. What's the best thing to do, you know, if you're starting to overspend? Some people just have a problem. They can't spend, you know?
And it is, and it's tough too. You know, everything increased and skyrocketed in prices, and we're all feeling that from every time we go to buy anything, grocery store, whatever. It is hurting those wallets. But what we're also seeing is quite a bit of, you know, little bitty nuanced things that we have done over the course of time. And that could be, I signed up for that gym membership I'm not using. I bought some of these apps on my phone for $2.99 a month and I'm no longer playing the games for. There's all these little things that are eating away and chipping away at income that we want people to be able to take some time back, take a step back and reevaluate where you're at. You know, a lot of these like TV services that are kind of all in competition. They started out with really low rates and we saw those are consistently kind of creeping up and creeping up. Well, that's, you know, when you got 4 or 5 of those, it's like, well, I'm only paying $49.95. Well, 4 or 5 times this becomes a really expensive program. And these are some expenditures that are going out. So it's really got to find out what is this that's coming out and what versus what is coming in. And because this living paycheck to paycheck is a risky game.
It really is. And then not having a financial cushion is another issue as well. If you haven't been saving money, something happens and you need that stash, you don't have anything to go to. That's something else that people need to be aware of as well, huh?
It really is, and you know that's a big thing that we advise and we put into our clients' hands. Like, you know, at a minimum, you want to have that 6 month of what are my expenditures that are out there. That can be a hard stretch for people, but even having something that $25 a week of putting that out of sight, out of mind, because you know the flat tire might end up being a big expense, you know, or a you know any kind of medical thing that pops up and you have to hit quick care, and that's $600-700 pretty quick. That hurts the pocketbook if we're not prepared for it, and then that turns into possibly having to rely on those credit cards.
That was the next question. If your credit card balances are not where they need to be, what's the danger with this? Because then you really get yourself in a deep hole.
It really can be. You know, Motley Fool, I read an article right before we got here, and they do it every quarter. They had an average of what the average credit card debt per household is, and it varies a little bit, but it's between $7,000 and $9,000 every year. You know, and the downside of that is, you know, these are 24, 25, 26, 27, 28% interest rates, and you might end up, you know, paying for that tank of gas 2 or 3 times, or paying for that dinner out a couple times when you're just fighting those interest rates, and that, you know, those things can become a real burden, and then you become a slave trying to get out of this financial, you know, mess and that you're into. So watching those credit cards, if that gets into a situation, this is the time where, hey, do I need to renegotiate with a credit card company, or can I maybe get go visit with a banker and say, if we can pull this down and maybe with some collateral, I can get some lower payments and give me some financial relief.
Okay, what about those student loans? That can be an issue for people as well. They're paying on those sometimes for years.
You know, and politics aside, I do think that was a little predatory, and it still is to this day. I mean, and a lot of the kids don't know what they're realizing they're signing up for. But you know, one of those things that's an opportunity to look at refinancing. Can I refinance this through the bank and maybe lower this interest rate? When we are in this time frame of still going to school potentially, and those rates are even, you know, at 0 or even very, very low, that can also be a great time to start doubling down and putting money and payments onto that. So when we're coming down to the end game of we're graduating and now the student loan debt is coming up and hitting us hard, it might not be as bad for us if we've been allocating funds on it already.
And then, of course, obviously, before we go, we've talked about this a million times, retirement. You want to have money left over so when you retire, you can enjoy life.
Yeah, and you know, and it's not uncommon for us to see, you know, and hear the phrase, I wished I started sooner, because, you know, we use the joke in the financial world of that 8th wonder of the world is compound interest. And the thing that matters the most with that compound interest is time. And starting sooner gives you that time.
All right, thanks, Colin. Thanks for the great tips. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me again.